Hello and welcome to the Sebs Show. Everybody, it's your boy Sebs, the co-host Gib. Today we're breaking down UFC Atlantic City. Kevin Lee versus Edson Barboza. Fucking good main event we got there. Home main, we got Frankie Edgar taking on Cub Swanson for the second time. It's a rematch of a fight they had before. Looking forward to both those fights and this entire card. How about you, Gib?
Oh yeah, I think a lot of these fights could be ended in the first few rounds. Actually, a lot of showstoppers. They put a lot of guys who can knock each other out right up against each other. So a lot of phone booth fights here.
Yep. All right, so let's start off with our first fight. We got Tony Martin take on Keita Nakamura, and I think this is going to be a grapple fest. I think
Yes.
I'm looking forward to this one. Being a lot of jiu-jitsu. These guys are both good at taking the back. Both of them are good at just top control when they're on the bottom there. They work for endless positions and stuff. I'd give the slight edge to Tony Martin in the stand-up exchanges, but not too sure like how much that's going to play a factor if they're staying standing. I think this is going to the ground and they're gonna have some fun on the ground. So, but I got Tony Martin here, man. I think ever so slightly I lean Tony Martin, and I'm gonna take him here. I like Tony Martin in this position. But I wouldn't be mad at the dog pick Keita Nakamura. He plus whatever he is. I think he's plus 205. So
did you like his Oliver Mercier fight?
Auban showed more of that. He won the third round in that fight. But yeah, Tony Martin needs a win here too.
Yeah.
I think he needs a win. I thought he did good against Alex White, Johnny Case.
Yeah.
But I think this is a good fight for him. I'd like to see him take on Keita here and beat him. So I got Tony Martin.
Yeah, I agree. Tony Martin definitely has the top stand-up against Nakamura, but Nakamura has that toughness that can see a lot of fights through to the end. And, I mean, something opens up and he goes for it. He really jumped for those submissions. And he was a fighter who, had his fair share of decision losses, but at the same time was able to pull off a crazy win against Jing Liang Lee, and kind of got a bit of a stop by Tom Breeze when he lost to him by a decision. But the count, no rear naked choke, you can't ever count this guy out. Even Alex Morono, bit of a closer decision fight there, but he stays close. He's really clinchy, and Tony Martin has a great right hand. Once he lands one too many jabs, I mean that's a laser on you right now, and he could definitely set Nakamura up for a few of those, really stunning him. But he's got a lot of toughness, so he's going to have to put on a lot. He's only really gotten KO'd once. I think this will end in a submission or possibly a decision. I think Nakamura might tough this one out. Like I said, he always seems to outbeat people in stamina near the end of the rounds and starts to kind of creep back up, even if he is behind. So, yeah.
Yeah. Something I could see there happening is a submission as well. So I wouldn't be surprised there. Next up, we got Merab Dvalishvili. And we got my boy Ricky Simone. Who do you lean in this fight quickly?
I mean, Ricky Simone on the Tuesday Night Fight series or the Contender series.
Yeah.
That was a great fight, man. Obviously it was a rough fight and you really wanted it. I've seen another fight with Chico Camas.
Yeah, that was a good fight
as well. And that guy was switching stances on Ricky a lot and gave him quite a few problems. But Ricky was able to. I mean, he gave him 5 rounds of hell.
Yeah.
It was a lot of stamina in that fight, and I can see Ricky really going through the the ringer with Davashvili, but I'm still a big fan of Merab. I think he's a great grappler with a lot of kind of split second timing. The fight with Frankie Saenz, I thought he should have won. I thought that the takedowns were a lot for Frankie Saenz to deal with, and they might have scored that for him working off of his back a lot. If that's the case, then maybe he did just enough to clinch it. But I think Ricky Simon might be a big target for a lot of Davashvili's boxing. He's got some beautiful combinations, good front kick. He can check. He does spinning back fists, constant wrestling pressure. He's always looking to sweep you as well. So he's looking to get a good takedown and get you up again and get you really up against the fence and strip you. But Ricky's a tough guy, so he's definitely not going to stay on that fence long, and he's going to be he's got something to crack and he's got something to move Davashvili. So it's going to be a close fight, but I got Merab for this because I think he's going to come back strong after that split decision. I can't see very many people really putting him through the ringer as he was last fight.
Yeah, started tape on this like yesterday, like 2 days ago, and I really wanted to bet Ricky Simone here. I just see a lot of potential in him. Like Chael Sonnen said, like this guy's better than Conor McGregor. He's like going to be like the next Conor McGregor or something. Like a very high praise from Chael Sonnen. I don't obviously see that in the kid right away, but he has potential. He's been through. He's like Gibb said, man. He's been through the ringer, but you can see even in the 5-round fights, man, he's really good. This is going to be another grapple fest in my what I'm thinking, and two good wrestlers here. I couldn't pick one of them. Merab is a great wrestler. I didn't have the balls to lay the 2 units or whatever on him. Didn't have the balls to lay the 3 units on Ricky Simone. I think there's a tough matchup for both of them. This is a good matchup. I see it going the distance. And yeah, pretty much I got my boy Ricky Simone though to I think he's gonna edge it out. I think he's gonna keep it standing as much as he can, and he's gonna be able to outstrike Merab here. Merab, we saw him gas in the first fight. Something that I always take a look at, and that's not a good sign against a guy like Ricky Simone. So I got Ricky Simone here. Next up, we got Leslie Smith taking on Aspen Ladd. Aspen Ladd is excellent on the ground, just great ground and pound. You saw in her first fight, she was screaming while she was beating that girl up.
Yeah, a lot of emotion there in the
end. She's awesome, man. She's awesome on the ground, but her stand-up lacks a little bit. Leslie Smith, his game is fuck.
Yeah.
So you have to watch out for her because she's game is fuck. Training with the Diaz brothers and whatnot. She's always a hard out. So expect her to be on top of her game too. I think this is a tough matchup for Aspen Ladd, especially if they stay standing. I'm ever so slightly leaning with Leslie Smith here, and I think I'm going to pick Leslie Smith to get the upset done. How about you, Gib?
I agree with you. After seeing why she was picked for the Cyborg fight, I could, I definitely saw it, and she's scrappy. She puts a lot of people on their back foot, and she's not shy of walking through punches. To get where she wants, and a lot of times, especially when she walks a lot of fighters down, like the Lemos fight. I mean, they get into corners real fast. Staying on your back foot and being really far from a distance almost seems like a good plan, but once you hit her a few times, she'll start to kind of slowly gain on you. And then all of a sudden, Leslie Smith is using your own strikes to gain movement on you while you're fighting her moving backwards. And she always seems to walk people into big kicks. She uses that left kick a lot, whether it's to the body or whether it's to the head. She gets that right kick right over the shoulder. She goes for head kicks early, and that could really put pressure and make people back up, which is what she wants people to do. She's extremely tough, so you better hit her with a lot, and you better have stopping power, because even if you do, she's not afraid to go out kick the legs as well with you, and those tend to add up, as we've seen in the Justin Gaethje and Poirier fight. Aspen Ladd obviously going for an awesome start, finishing out Lena Landsberg. Lena Landsberg, a bit more experienced on that end, and Aspen was able to take her out. She's 6 wins into her career. I think she started like super young, MMA at 19, correct? Again, super high grappling, I think, but I think she's going into a pretty big veteran, as Leslie Smith has already taken on one of the best, arguably, women fighters in the UFC, Kristen Cyborg. And once you probably get hit by that, you're definitely not going to be getting hit by anything close to. So I think she'll be able to walk right forward and impose her will on Aspen Ladd. But if Aspen has that toughness like she had in that last fight, then she could really give the judges a tough call in the decisions. I can see this fight going to a decision, but anything can happen. I mean, when Leslie keeps stalking people down, she definitely gets on their stamina. So I think Leslie Smith wins this.
Yeah, I agree. Next up, we head into our prelims. We got Corey Overtime Anderson taking on Patrick Durkin Cummins. I was just looking at the lines on the rounds here, and under 2.5 rounds is like plus 210 right now, which is very, very reasonable considering both these guys can get knocked out. Yeah. They're both like rather chinny.
I think it's a lot of clumsy as well, that they tend to make a few mistakes in their fights, right? They get real sloppy and brawly too.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were taking over for a second.
No. I was adding to I was adding to what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely chinny.
So like Corey Anderson, like if they keep this standing, I don't see it going 3 rounds. They both have like that great wrestling. They're both Division I NCAA wrestlers. So, and I think I don't think either of them are All-Americans. And actually, I don't even know if Corey Anderson was a Division I wrestler. I think he was a Division II. That's something I gotta check right now.
Yeah, I was about to say, trying to get confirmation on that.
Yeah, but I think he's Division II, from what I remember. And Pat Cummins wrestled for like Penn State or some shit, so he's Division I. Both good wrestlers. I can see them trying to out wrestle one another, and then this being another grapple match. But if they stay standing, one of these guys are getting knocked out, and I don't hate anybody playing the fight doesn't go to the decision or the under 2.5 rounds here. I think that's a good play on both ends. I wouldn't be so confident with either guy. Maybe more Corey Anderson. That's who I'm leaning for the win here. I think Corey Anderson gets the job done. He's kind of like a younger version of Patrick Cummins, more athletic. And I always love the guys working with Mark Henry. So I'm leaning Corey Anderson here to get the win, but I think the play is more on a 2.5 rounds. Fight doesn't go to decision, something like that. I think that's a good play, something I might look into actually.
Yeah. For this one, I agree. I don't see this one going to decisions. I can actually see this ending early for somebody. But Patrick Cummins is an extremely tough fight. I think a lot of fighters who are supposed to go in there and pretty much waste them don't do that. Guys like Jan Blazkowicz and John Vellante, I think they went in there thinking the Cummins fight would be easy for them. And when they got put in a lot of problem situations or stuck in the mud with a lot of Patrick Cummings kind of tactics, they get beaten up. And he's a super tough fighter who he might be able to take your most stylish punch and really good setup that make the crowd kind of go ooh. But anytime after that, he's winding you down and constantly outworking and trying to out hustle you. And if he gets a lot of those, he starts to bait you in a little easier and a little easier, and he can be a lot of problems for you. He can make a just easy fight that you should have probably walked through him get harder. And Corey Anderson, again, no stranger to this. Puts people through the ringer, and he can either knock you out with big power or go for takedowns. And very similar to Pat Cummings, he's also very tough. He can get knocked down and get right back up and keep throwing punches. He's had to fight Jimmy Manuwa and Ovince St. Preux recently. So some pretty stiff competition. I think Pat Cummings will be right up there to see if he can keep his get a win streak going. I think Pat Cummings might out frustrate him. He seemed to do that in the past, and he's been on a pretty good win streak as of lately. Could be could be some new fires being lit under him, and could be going for another one. I think he might take out Corey Anderson here, but I do think this fight can end either way. It's still a coin flip, but I got Patrick Cummings on this.
Yeah, like I said, it's kind of a coin flip. I think so as well. Yeah, but next up we got CR Bahar Duraz. I can't say his last name.
That's rough.
Bahar Durazada.
Yeah.
The Great Sahar.
The Great.
And then we got Lauren Chagas too. Ever so slightly lean Lauren Chagas in this fight. Just because it's a hard fight to pick when you think about it. Fuck, Sahar's coming off a knockout of Rob Wilkinson, and Juan Chagas is coming off the choke of Jim Wallhead. And fuck Fight Pass. You guys fucked up the whole week. He started working like yesterday.
Terrible.
Go fuck yourself. Started working yesterday. Like, oh yeah, we really need it yesterday. But yeah, so like Juan Chagas, good on the feet and stuff. Guy tends to gas out a little bit over time. Sahar, more of like fundamental, but still comes with those blitzes and stuff. Very tough out. You saw what he did against Brandon Thatch and Rob Wilkinson. Juan Chagas, what he did against Jim Wallhead, and even the performance he had earlier against Eric Silva, when he dropped Eric Silva a little bit early on in the fight, I believe, or you heard him, and then he ended up just gassing, getting really tired, going for a sloppy takedown, and Eric Silva took his back and choked him out. Very, very sloppy too, the way that happened. But other than that, and he had a draw against Sergio Moraes. This is a tough fight to call, but I'm going to ever so slightly lean with Lauren Chagas here to get the win. How about you, Gib?
I got CR. His TKO over Rob Wilkinson was, I think, pretty impressive. He goes for the left and right hook combinations to like the head or to the body. I like that combination a lot. I don't think a lot of people use it, and it's always right there for people. He's got constant movement, and he can kind of you really have to keep you off of him because he's very excellent at trying to get people's back, as well as wrestling, as well as looking for submissions. I think a guy like Doomsday Howard early on in his career gave him a little bit of trouble when he was able to outmuscle him. I think if Lewin Chagas actually can out-muscle him and out-wrestle him and make the fight extremely physical, it could, go downhill for him. But he's got some great punches, and he doesn't really care about the form of them. It just kind of really swings that hook. A lot of them are kind of swinging punches, but he's very accurate with them, and always combats you with his wrestling. So those punches are always kind of in range. He's got a pretty good loyal jab. He can get a little desperate with it, which can sometimes get him into trouble, gets him a little too deep into danger, because Lewin Chargo does crack quite a bit. He might not have as many knockouts, but he does crack, and he has quite a bit of submission potential as well. So he'll be looking for that, and probably looking for one of himself. Got a great submission over Jim Wallhead, like you said. He had a draw against Sergio Moraes, so when he first came in, it was a little rough after the loss against Eric Silva in the third round. But he's been able to find his footing now, and this fight is a perfect step for him to get that. I don't think he has a super strong, crazy wrestling to get this guy off him, and I think that a lot of the punches coming his way are going to be a lot of knockout shots. If he can maybe counter it or get something in there, he might be able to. But CR kind of throws you off from the first round on, and can be quite a bit. He seemed to be a lot to handle for Rob Wilkinson, and Brendan Thatcher is a karate guy, so it's very difficult to kind of lock this guy down. So I think CR wins this one.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you there, because I think that's another flip. Anyone can win this fight. But next up, we got Magomed Bibulatov against Luka Sasaki, and I just have a fucking feeling I know who Gibbs choosing in this one. You're going for Sasaki, aren't you?
You know what? It's close. I mean,
it's not close.
I didn't exactly like Magomed's last performance. The guy has TNT. The guy has TNT though. Like the kicks and stuff that he was setting up was great. Like he does the spin kick, and the way he catches you is he'll do it and set it up, but instead it comes out as a spinning back fist. I think that's real creative. He's able to play a long game with you, and he is able to constantly walk people into big shots. And Yuta definitely walks. Yuta Sasaki is definitely one of those guys. Sasaki is definitely one of those guys who walks into them all the time, because he got dropped 2 times in his last bout, in one of his bouts that he even won. He's got some submission skill. He's a bit of a grappler, and he's got a southpaw style to him. So I think that's the kind of difference that he might need in this. He can get scrappy, and he's got an unusually durable style. And I say unusual because the guy flops around all over the place, and he takes knockdowns. But believe it or not, I mean, the guy's, I guess, okay, and he could take advantage of quite a few fights that that kind of present itself a good opportunity, because he was able to get rear naked chokes pretty easily. He was able to get one over Justin Scoggins, who put a real big rush on him early, and he was able to submit Willie Gates in the second round. Jose De Silva choked him out early on in the first. So obviously his style, he has a lot of flaws, and he has a lot of kind of bumps. But this is Magomed's kind of pressure fight, because he really needs this win after his knockout over Moraga, because I thought even in that fight he was doing really well, and he even did well in his decision fight earlier than that. So I think the pressure is a little higher on him, and if he sees that he's not doing very well against Yuta, and the toughness starts to show, it could be a rough night for him, man. He's already good at submissions, and he's a little weird on the stand-up.
Yeah, I think Sasaki's getting dealt with. It's not even a question. People are actually giving this guy a really good shot of beating Magomed, and I don't blame them. Like this kid he's long, he's rangy,
Yeah.
he's just weird to fight. He's hard to fight and shit, but like fucking, I think this is a perfect matchup for Magomed. Magomed can work his wrestling here and just put a clinic on him, and he has a better stand up, of course. Magomed has some dangerous stand up.
Oh yeah.
Used to going 5 rounds as well. Um, where Sasaki is one to gas sometimes. Um, uh, the only thing I'm worried about is the ground game with Sasaki and like the long and rangy like jabs and whatnot. But I think Monkman works inside. I think that spinning back kick's gonna be open all day. Just like I called last week, the leg kicks from Justin Gaethje will be open all day. I think this was going to be open all day. Is that spinning back kick to the body from Magomed Bibulatov, training with Mark Henry, so you know he's getting good work in training with the guys like Edson Barboza, Frankie Edgar, Zabit, Muslim Salikov, all those killers right
Just
now.
spinning shit all
Uh,
day.
that's it. And he has these powerful slams. Just shit I love to see from a guy I'm betting on, and I think he gets the job done here. I think he gets the job done here. So I got 5 units on Magomed Bibulatov and somebody later in the card in a parlay. But yeah, I think I got Magomed all day. Next up, we got Ryan LaFleur taking on Alex Garcia. Ryan LaFleur coming off that knockout loss to Cowboy Oliveira. I believe so, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then before that was Juan Cornero, the where he got a win, I'm pretty sure. Alex Garcia coming off that win of Muslim Salikov, where he choked him out. Uh, this is a pretty decent fight. Uh, I think Ryan LaFleur has the edge in the grappling, even though Alex Garcia is he's built like a tank, so he's hard to take down. He's
Yeah.
strong. But I think LaFleur has the edge in the grappling, and I think that's what plays the biggest part here. So I'm taking Ryan LaFleur short stuff. I got Ryan LaFleur here. How about you, Gib?
I really liked Ryan LaFleur's fight with Ponce Nibio. He was able to take him down in like a minute. Showing that he can be an immediate problem that has to be addressed. And that's the pressure. The guy's always trying to go for big takedowns. He's also southpaw, so he has a really good left middle kick. If he's kept at a range for too long, he can really smash you with it. And it'll only increase his wrestling because, if you get hit with a few too many body kicks or, a few too many leg kicks and he's going to go for takedowns. I mean, you're using your core and your legs for defending. So it's going to be a rough night. He likes to he's a little light on the ground and pound stuff, but he likes to advance for position and then chip away as the fight goes on a little longer. He's very fast and scrambles, hustles for underhooks, stays close, almost he stays close, but almost too far away, and can always be at like the very edge to land punches. And he lands fairly easily. If he needs, he can even change into a takedown, which is another part of his game. Alex Garcia, on the other hand, is also kind of very similar, likes to put the same type of pace on fighters, lots of low kicks, again, making a fight pretty much a nightmare to deal with, lots of kicks, lots of takedowns. He doesn't like to leave people very much space, gets really physical, can berserk people and rush them really fast. He's always mixing in punches and kicks, always in that kind of that orange range of punches where you can always kind of be hit, but at the same time, he's always backing you up, and he's a constant problem. always trying to pass your guard, a little bit more adamant on the ground and pound, and likes to start it early. And it is going to be a good fight. I think a lot of the inside work by Garcia, like a lot of his inside uppercuts, can get him some big W's and have knocked people out in the past as well. This is a real tough fight. I think I like Ryan LaFleur's style against Alex Garcia. But I think Alex Garcia is a bit of a stronger puncher. And in that fact, I think Ryan LaFleur is going to be front line and center for a lot of the critical strikes. So I think Alex Garcia might win this by knockout. I can see that happening either in the second or possibly later on. Yeah, I see it's going Alex Garcia's way. But still, it's going to be a rough fight because they're going to be close from the start. And it's going to be a lot of wrestling, probably.
Yeah. Sorry, give me a second.
No worries.
Want to introduce our next fight, Gib? Jim Miller. Jim Miller versus Dan Hooker. Just because I need to plug.
No worries. So we got Jim Miller and Dan Hooker coming up. So Dan Hooker, again, real impressive against Mark Diakese and Ross Pearson. His stand-up is nothing but fast, and it's fast from like start to finish. It's very very rare that it kind of slows down. He's always keeping a really good range. He's really great at spots where he can land more leg kicks and knees. Dan has a great gas tank. Like I said, he's able to keep his combinations always flowy and pretty fast, to the point where you have to step your game up in order to catch him. Diakese threw a lot of wild kicks, a lot of crazy attacks at him, and Dan Hooker was real calm and able to kind of move in and out, able to deal with it and get that submission in the third round. So it's also good to see that he can lock those up when he needs to. He doesn't have to scramble for the submissions. He doesn't have to fiddle with anything. He can get it when he needs it. Some fighters struggle with the submission. You'll see a guy get back and they'll go for the choke and they just can't get it. A little difficult. So, he can always wrap that up. And Jim Miller, I mean, he's always going to be that veteran in the game. And, he's been losing recently. I think he lost his last 3 fights. Not the greatest, obviously. I think maybe even last 4 fights. He's mostly getting decisions, charging forward a lot, goes to the body, and likes to throw those knees, left uppercuts. Looks for setup, setup a lot of the inside work, a lot of takedowns. He likes to threaten a big left kick as well. I like that. He's been, he does tend to put fighters to, through ringers, because the Dustin Poirier fight, I mean, if you look back at it, a lot of the highlights, tend to be on Dustin Poirier's side, but Jim Miller really does press the pace of that action, and he made Dustin Poirier work constantly, and a lot of times Dustin Poirier at one point landed a takedown, and Jim Miller pretty much scrambled right back up and took him down again. And that's a lot of stamina to use just to get up and take someone down again, and to constantly be in the fight like that, constantly be working that way, I think is very admirable, especially to a fighter who beat Justin Gaethje just a while ago. I think a fighter like Dan the Hangman Hooker, this is his setup. This is like a big alley for him. He should be able to finish off Jim Miller, but Jim Miller could be a tough fight for anybody, and I see Jim Miller taking this. So I'm going Jim Miller on this one for sure. I think that maybe he does get it back, But but Dan Hooker can definitely get the knockout here. And again, it's straight for him to win. Like this is his fight. But it can be made very difficult for him by Jim Miller if his gas tank isn't exactly in tune. Because I know that obviously Dan Hooker's his. All right, you're back.
Thank goodness you couldn't hear me. I was going crazy.
Oh no, I just finished.
Jim Miller, that's fucking embarrassing.
I mean, hey, he's been getting absolutely killed as of recently. You're right, but he does make
Lyme disease, bro. He's done, man. He
does make fights difficult for people, man.
He doesn't have a gas tank, man. He has Lyme disease. So how can he go? How does he win this fight? Is he gonna knock out Dan Hooker?
I don't see a knockout. I just see possibly.
He can't win a decision if you don't have a gas tank.
How's he not getting finished by these people though?
He's a tough guy, bro. He's tough.
For sure. Because me personally, I would think Anthony Pettis could finish him, and Dustin Poirier.
I think Dustin could have finished him, but not Pettis. I don't think Dan Hooker is going to finish him either. I think Dan Hooker might be able to finish him. He's big for this weight class.
Dan Hooker needs a finish. Like this is his finish fight. They wouldn't be giving you Jim Miller if it wasn't.
Jim Miller, I don't see him scoring takedowns. Dan Hooker is just so much bigger than him. He should be able to use his reach advantage and just pretty much use his teeps and everything and just
he's
Muay
6
Thai
foot, so he'll be able to do it.
And just outpoint Jim Miller here pretty easily. I think he's going to be the more active fighter, especially in the third round when it comes down to it. It's probably going to be how about if it's a close fight, and it comes down to that third round and Jim Miller doesn't have it in his gas tank. I'm counting on Daniel Hooker there all day.
Yeah.
Been training down in New Zealand for this one. I'm pretty sure with Israel Adesanya, and man, this guy he just looks this is where his weight class should be. He just looks good in this division. I think this is an easier fight for him. I don't love the line, but I got Dan Hooker all day, and I got him in a parlay with Magomed Bibulatov. Minus 145, 5 units. Minus 145 to win 3.44 units. So I got that parlay going all day. Let's go. Max bet.
Can you still even fight if you have Lyme disease? They'll let you fight?
Oh yeah, they let him fight. Yeah, they let him.
I wouldn't think that you'd be doctored.
I have no idea, but
because that would come into the health aspect of it.
Yeah, Miller's allowed to fight though, and he just has a bad gas tank because of the Lyme disease.
For sure,
it's not his fault or anything, but
no.
You gotta say what it is.
Yep.
So yeah, I got Dan Hooker all day, and I got him in that big parlay with Magomed.
All right.
I just have a feeling I'm gonna be sweating during one of those fights.
Well, you shouldn't have to be for Jim Miller, man.
I think Dan Hooker should be able to take that. I think I think I'm gonna have a good night on Saturday night, so let's keep it rolling. Maybe we're looking for that sweep. Boy. Next up, we got Brett the Pikey John taking on Aljamain Sterling. Brett Johns, everybody, the miniature version of Khabib. This is one of the most dangerous guys in the division at 135. He's ranked number 14th now. He has dangerous boxing. If you look at his stand-up, the kid's got good boxing, but he's just so powerful in the clinch with his judo and is so powerful on the ground with his takedowns and ground and pound. He's dangerous, man. He's dangerous wherever this fight goes. I think he's gonna be able to outbox Aljamain. Aljamain throws no punches, zero punches. He throws like fucking only throwing kicks and shit. And I think those kicks are gonna be caught for takedowns. I think Brett Johns has the advantage wherever the fight goes. And once Aljo gives up the takedown, I think Brett Johns is gonna order cavity on top and secure a 30-27 decision here, man. I think he gets the job done. I think he does it in fucking great fashion too. I'm with Brett Johns all day here. I got 5 units on the pikey, minus 124, and I got 4 units at minus 124, and then I put 1 unit at minus 106 to win 4.16 units, and I'm on Brett Johns all day here, guys. Gib.
Believe it or not, I am a fan of Aljamain Sterling. I like his jiu-jitsu a lot. I think it's real young and hungry because he likes to wrap up submissions quick. The big problem with this is he's gotten a lot of nice setups, but they tend to kill his arms when he has to start the choke. And some of his opponents can be a little tougher to put away in the early rounds. I think when he first started, he was able to wrap a lot of people up and just submit them in any round. But now that it's the UFC, unless you get lucky, you kind of have to, beat them into submission. You kind of have to throw punches on the stand up and make him give up in certain places in order to get those positions. And I think he has good instincts because I agree that his striking, it isn't exactly boxing. It isn't exactly kickboxing. He just kind of throws what he wants, and he improvises. And a lot of the improv just uses his instincts a lot. So athleticism, and he tends to get tired a lot, especially if he's chasing after those submissions and blows out his arms early. If he can't get that energy drained, he's still very deadly and could put on a submission at any time. But Brett Pikey Johns knows how to play the submission game as well. Awesome calf slicer on Joe Soto in the first 30 seconds of the round. That's crazy. He's always making his opponents uncomfortable. Great pressure. He's always shredding punches into people's guards. Like when he gets you close to where the cage is and he's constantly pushing you, he's throwing lots of body shots and lots of punches to your guard as you're kind of blocking, and you can't even get anything in because he's just raining elbows and then small punches. They're all very compact, but he can do it forever. Like if he got on top of you from round one to in the first minute, he can be on you for 3 to 4 minutes, putting the same punches down all day, and then start again the next round. So because of that, I think that his ground and he's able to keep you there for quite a while. His boxing on the stand-up is pretty good too. I think Aljamain and Brett Johns are both about the same height as well. So the advantage is pretty close. I think Aljo still has a little left in him, so I think he'll be able to beat Brett Johns. But again, if the jiu-jitsu kind of cancels each other out, so Aljamain is really relying on his natural stand-up that he just possesses due to athleticism and getting to spots faster and just outworking. And I think that's what he needs to do to beat Brett Johns, and then obviously look for that submission that he will always look for. But this time, obviously using the right positions and before you start, really going for that kill choke.
Yeah, I think Aljo's getting fucked.
He definitely puts himself in harm's way quite a bit, but got to roll the dice at some point, right?
Wait, you're taking Aljo here?
Yeah, I am.
Oh my goodness. We gotta get you to start betting just to see your mistakes.
Oh, I would. You know, I wouldn't bet at least off of some of them, but like I don't know, man. Might do a few DraftKings or something. I don't throw any sort of like crazy money on it. What was that?
I said I think Thiago Santos is probably the biggest like Terminator.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
He's like a wrecking machine, man. Like in the Jack Hermanson fight, like he walked down Jack Hermanson within like the last few seconds of that fight, just ran him down, pressed forward, boom, boom, just dropped bombs on him, knocked him out. Knocked out Anthony Smith, knocked out Gerald Mearshart, Jack Marshman with that
Not a
spinning
straight.
back. Uh, he looks like a fucking monster. And he's on like a 4 or 5 knockout streak. 5 fight. How many wins does he have in a row? 1, 2, 3, 4 fights in a row. Yeah, man. I swear he has 5. Well, maybe I just feel 5 because he's gonna get this one this week. Taking on David Branch here, who just lost to Luke Rockhold. I'm not all that impressed by David Branch, but I think Thiago gets the job done, man. Just with his Muay Thai, I think with his stand up, I think he's able to keep the standing. David Branch is gonna really want to take this to the floor. He's not gonna be able to stand with Thiago Santos, and if he does, I think he's gonna be in trouble. Other than that, man, fucking like I said, look for David Branch to try and press him up against the cage, stuff like that. Try and make this a dirty fight. Thiago's going to try and break away, and successfully he shall. And he's going to be able to get the devastating knockout, I think, and in the second round. I'm feeling him to get that second round knockout. So we're going with David, or not. We're not going with David Branch. We're going with Thiago Santos, second round knockout here. And I got 3 units on him at minus 199 to win 1.5 units.
You know, for this fight, I was a big fan when David Branch first came in because I remember him from WSOF. I thought his move there and getting 2 belts, as well as having an undefeated streak there, was quite an accomplishment. You know, I still think it is. I think he beat a lot of guys who, you know, yeah, a lot of them have questionable records, but a few have been doing okay. For example, Lewis Taylor, he's doing all right. Not in the UFC yet or anything crazy, but he was beaten by him. He got submitted by him. Lewis Taylor in the 5th round. I thought it was a pretty good fight. Was able to lock it down. But Thiago Santos is a different animal. This guy's been just finishing guys. He has a real deadly style. He's, again, right up in you. I think he beat someone with a wheel kick or something. Oh man, you know, he moves people out of the way with those kicks. You know, David Branch, he got in Luke Rockhold's face with the boxing, and I do think that he gave Luke Rockhold some early problems. But you know, he's so you know, he's so far in there, throwing a lot of 1-2s that he sometimes gets himself a little trapped, and in certain spots he ends up getting countered real big. Luke Rockhold was able to kind of shake off that first round and end up taking him out in the second. I think Thiago might be able to do the same. David Branch comes out real difficult to hit and constantly changing up his boxing speeds. But I think if Thiago Santos just sticks it out and keeps gunning for David Branch with a lot of big shots, he'll probably catch him. You know, a lot of times you can kind of either shake off some of Branch's stuff as well as, you know, some of his takedowns can get a little stuffy. They're very hard to stuff, and sometimes they'll get the underhook on you if you don't. Kind of sweep the rug out from under you as well. So I could see Thiago possibly going through a bit of you know, a bit of a struggle on the ground, but I can see him ending David Branch with like 1 or 2 punches. I think he possesses enough strength to catch him. So I think he takes out David Branch. So I'm going to move on to the next fighter. The next fighters, which are Frankie Edgar and Cub Swanson. So obviously this is a big fight because they fought before, and I believe Frankie Edgar won that fight. The Cub Swanson got the neck crank in the 5th. I thought the way that Frankie went through that fight was real smart. Went for takedowns, constant pressure on Cub Swanson. I think you have to exhaust the kind of weapons that Cub has. You know, Cub goes for a lot of those swinging crazy kicks. You know, a lot of spins, a lot of side kicks, cartwheels, whatever. And a lot of that stuff can be very daunting if you stay at a distance and let him set it up. But if you're right up close to him and you're giving him lots of problems to deal with, as well as countering, you know, he tends to kind of lighten them down, and he might only throw them now and then. Frankie Edgar is really used to guys throwing a lot of crazy shit at them. Fighters like Benson Henderson, guys like Gray Maynard were a real rough day for him because they were able to kind of have that height to them as well, and they had a big height advantage. But I don't think that's the real big case for the Cub Swanson fight. I think they're about the same size. Frankie Edgar, I think, comes out on top on this one. I mean, they both lost to Brian Ortega. So I would actually be really curious if they can either get a rematch after this one. So I think that would be a cool one, just to see, because they both got wrecked by him. I thought Cubs loss was a little worse. The choke looked real deadly, but you know, I think Frankie takes this one. I think he's a little more equipped for a lot of the stuff that Cub throws from previous fights. I think Cub is still a tough fight for anyone really because of that in and out style. A lot of the crazy kicks that he comes up with. And his just toughness. But I think Frankie Edgar takes him down and is able to put him in the same submission trouble that he was able to put him in before.
Fuck this.
There we go. What's up?
Yeah. The audio is fucking annoying.
Yeah. Yeah, so I got
You did Justin Willis already, no?
I went to Frankie Edgar and Cub Swanson.
You completely skipped the fight. That's good. All right, guys. See what Gib does when I'm not here. Fucking, he fucks everything up.
I was on the wrong side.
Justin Willis.
Yeah, it's Justin Willis and Chase Sherman. So for that one,
let me break it down. Justin Willis comes from AKA, good at pretty much ground game and standing up. He's fucking big heavyweight. His name's Big Pretty. 265 comes in at. When he hits those takedowns, he's heavy on top. He's hard to get out. Trains with Daniel Cormier, guys like that. I think if he gets Chase Sherman down, there's no way Chase Sherman gets up. I think he just ground and pounds him to the end here. I think to win for Justin Willis here, guys. He's the rightful favorite, and I think he gets the job done against Chase Sherman. Chase Sherman doesn't have much to offer, especially his last fight, I think, against Shamil. He got knocked out pretty quickly against Shamil. He beats the Damian Grabowskis of the world, but other than that, it's hard. Like he couldn't finish a shot Coulter on like no legs, and he got fucked up by Walt Harris and Justin Ledet. So like he's a very very average heavyweight with very average power. I'm looking at Justin Willis all day, and like I like Justin Willis a lot in this matchup. Line's a little bit too big to bet. It's at like minus 350 right now. So I didn't bet it, or minus 340. Yeah, I'm not gonna bet something like that. But I know I bet the minus 334s and Daniel Hooker and Magomed beforehand, but still, even this is bigger than the 334, and I wouldn't touch Justin Willis just because it's a heavyweight fight, laying a lot on the line for minus 300 plus.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got Justin Willis all day though. How about you?
I think either one can win. These guys are both heavyweights, swinging big bombs. Chase Sherman's last fight against Shamil Abrakamov wasn't very good. He's actually doing really well before he got knocked out. I hate to say that, but he really was. He was countering him a lot. He had busy hands, and he was cracking him. Just happened to get hit by the wrong thing. I guess a lot of the punches and a lot of the combinations that Chase Sherman throws kind of starts to gravitate him, towards you. And, in the heavyweight division, guys like Justin Willis can definitely make you pay. And, he's pretty good at fighting guys who are taller as well, because Chase is also on the taller side at 6'4", so both real big. The no real height or anything crazy advantage. I think Sherman might be like a little bit taller, but not by too much. They're both knocking people out. I can actually see Chase winning this because he's just been in the UFC just a little bit longer. He's even had a few losses, so he might know exactly what it takes to win the decision fights at least. Justin Willis kind of got the early knockout on Alan Crowder, so he still has quite a bit of fights to go. But
he fought James Mulheron too.
Oh yeah. But you got one more to go for 3 in a row, and then maybe you can start talking about something. So yeah, I say Chase Sherman gets it back here.
My goodness, your picks. You gotta document these picks, brother.
Will do.
Next up, we got Frankie Edgar taking on Cub Swanson. I'm with Frankie all day here. A lot of people are talking shit that Frankie's coming back too quickly. He probably is coming back a little bit too fast from the knockout of Brian Ortega, but the thing that I don't think that's just going to play a part in this. I don't think knockout's going to play a part. I think Frankie knows, especially after a knockout, what he has to do best is play the ground game and play the wrestling, just like he did in the first fight where he pretty much demoliated. I made up my own word there. Destroyed fucking Cub Swanson on the ground, and he just pot-shotted him on the feet the whole time too. Cub Swanson coming off that loss of Brian Ortega as well, so these guys have just come off the loss of the same guy pretty much. Cub Swanson, I can see him getting subbed in this fight. That's the only thing. I can see Frankie outworking him on the ground and end up subbing him to get the victory here. I'm not sure which round, but I can see that happening. So I got Frankie Edgar all day. I got 3.5 units on him at minus 211 to win 1.65 units. Let's go.
All right.
And
I already talked about my fight out of order.
Who'd you pick though?
I got Frankie Edgar for that. I think he he has a submission as well. I thought he got the submission the first time with a pretty good strategy. Was able to take Cup down and limit a lot of the crazy stuff and even dodge a lot of it. And I think that'll be the same thing in this one. I think he's able to maneuver around a lot of his more unique strikes, and he'll be able to take him down same way and constantly press him and get him into bad situations where he can finish on the ground.
Yeah, something that I can see as well. Okay, so our main event: Edson Barboza versus Kevin Lee. Edson Barboza being the most fierce leg kicker in the UFC, probably the best kicker in general. To head, body, and feet. He has a knockout to or is it a knockout caused to the head, the body, and the legs. No one's ever done something like that before. Um, he's just such a technical striker, especially he's ever improving his game with Mark Henry. His boxing's looking sharper every time he comes out there, and his takedown defense is rather good. We saw his last fight against Khabib. His takedown defense wasn't too good, but when you're facing Khabib, it's gonna look like shit like that. Um, a lot of people are putting Kevin Lee on the same fucking line as Khabib here, like on that he's gonna be able to maul Edson Barboza the same way. I don't see that happening. I see Edson be able to keep this a little bit standing for a few rounds and win rounds, possibly knock out the. We know Kevin Lee gets a little bit chinny at times, possibly knock him out, but I got Edson Barboza here. I think he's gonna chop down that lead leg rather quickly, and he's gonna put on a striking clinic, man. He's gonna he might get taken down a few times, but I think once he gets back to his feet, he's gonna show that he's the real deal and he gets the job done here. How about you, Gabe?
Yeah, it's a weird fight, mostly because I see a lot of good Kevin Lee stuff on the submission and just how good he is at taking the back. Even of a fighter like Michael Chiesa, who's someone who's constantly going for the back. Edson Barboza, he's able to get away from a lot of grapples and a lot of good decisions. He knows what he's doing. Trains at Ricardo Almeida Jiu-Jitsu, so he's well versed. And I agree. Guys like Khabib, guys like Tony Ferguson have to have their submission skill and submission and ground skill in a really, really high level in order to impose their will all the time. And it has to work all the time, because if Edson Barboza is free for too long, he's going to get a real dazzling kick on you. And if you're still questioning how that hit you, you're probably just going to get hit by another one, and he'll start to kind of, like you said, clinic you up and really start to beat you up like a surgeon, kind of take his cuts and go. Kevin Lee's super strong. I think he's way stronger than Edson Barboza. No doubt that once he gets his hands on him, Edson's going somewhere. He's getting thrown to the cage. But it's how many times Kevin Lee can get his hands on him and how long it takes for the energy to come back. When he wants to set it up again, it's going to be a rough fight. And for Kevin Lee to do it all night, it's going to be real difficult.
Especially 5 rounds.
Yeah, with kicks and a lot of the leg work coming at you. That's why it's a little difficult for me to see Kevin Lee walking down Edson Barboza without like stumbling or without any sort of.
Oh, he's gonna be worried. He's not gonna walk him
down. Yeah, and Edson Barboza has been able to stop people's takedowns by kneeing them in the face and going for the inside like flying knee. I think that's one of the.
Not even that. Just before Khabib, this is probably the best wrestler he's fought.
Beneil Dariush, right?
Yeah, well, before Khabib, he hasn't been taken down in 2 years.
Yeah,
he wasn't taken down in 2 years. So this is a guy who he has great takedown defense, man. You gotta watch out for him. Fought Tony Ferguson, he has great takedown defense. You gotta watch out for this guy.
I think his takedown defense is high enough that he'll be able to stop quite a bit of Kevin's stuff. Like I said, I mean, there's no doubt Kevin Lee's going to get his hands on him once or twice. It's what happens when when they get to the ground or when they get to the fence. And if Kevin Lee can continuously capitalize and keep Edson fenced in, he wins. But Edson Barboza isn't a guy who's easy to track down. He's always moving. He's always flipping kicks in there. And if you think that you're safe, I mean, you might be walking into something. So I think Edson Barboza, I agree with you on this one. I think he outstrikes Kevin Lee. But, don't get it twisted. Kevin Lee is going to be going for crazy takedowns. And, I mean, he can put the hurt on Edson Barboza and make it real physical. I think that's how Edson Barboza can get steamrolled, possibly,
So who wins?
Yeah, but I'm edging out for Edson on this.
All right, so those are our picks, our plays, our predictions, our breakdown, and our bets for the weekend. My bets for the weekend, at least. Gib doesn't want to bet yet. It's okay. One day, Gib. No peer pressure here.
I'll keep everybody in the know. We'll maybe do a DraftKings or something. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, that'd be cool. But yeah, everyone have a good time this weekend and fucking watch these fights and peace out. Let's cash these bets.
Watch the fights. Cash the bets in. Have a good one, guys.
Take care.